Hey, how's it going? You're here for Heavy Art Talk. As usual, it is your host, Lee, and today I'm excited. I'm going to have Lara Subterranean joining me. Lara is an illustrator and screen printer. She's done a ton of work with a lot of bands, especially in the realm of like poster design. So I'm very excited to talk about that. A couple of the bands that she's worked with that would be Neurosis, Full of Hell, Elder, Monolord, and there's a ton more. So we're definitely going to go through all that in the back half. Without further ado, Lara, how's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Doing good. I appreciate you carving some time. It's kind of morning-ish for me, but for you, it's later in the afternoon, early evening.
Yes, we are here in the afternoon. Yes.
Cool. Well, just to kick things off, I get the feeling that you have very like diverse music taste. So I was just curious what you've been listening to lately.
If I'm honest with you, I don't know when you are gonna publish this, but yesterday was the Black Sabbath concert, the last concert of Black Sabbath. So yesterday I was really digging the whole, all the records of Black Sabbath. I really fell into that trap a little bit, like this kind of nostalgia kind of feeling, going through all the records and checking out Ozzy and all that. Yeah. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun yesterday.
What would be like your favorite or like top 3 favorite like Black Sabbath albums?
That's a difficult one. I think Sabotage is probably my favorite one. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. For me, it's always very difficult to see which one is a favorite, because it really depends on my mood. When you say that I have like a very, I don't know, eclectic music taste, I really listen to music depending on the mood. Like when I'm working, I listen to certain music. When I'm driving, I listen to other kind of music. So it really depends, I never have like a fix. When someone asks like, what's your favorite band, I'm not sure. It depends.
Yeah, that's a hard question. That's a very difficult question. Sabotage is a good pick, though. I totally agree. That's definitely one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, it's a cool one. Yeah, but lately I also have been listening a lot to the last record of Messa.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I love the vocals are amazing, and it has all these very atmospheric and very epic moments that I really enjoy. I think it's a really beautiful album. So yeah, I have been enjoying that one a lot lately.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be one of my favorites of the year. I can't see anything really like topping that, because I just feel like you said, it's very emotional, and then all the musicianship is just spot on, and it's all like serving the song. So it's all like, it all fits so well. Hey, just a quick heads up, there are points in this interview where it kind of cuts in and out a little bit, just because of some technical difficulties. So if there's a couple things that don't have as much flow as usual, that's the reason why. Great episode, though. Just want to give you guys a heads up. Well, cool. So let's talk a little bit about art and kind of like what led you to where you're at now. You're mentioning before we went on that in some ways you like started printing before you started getting into illustration. So I was just curious, like, what was the beginning of the screen printing looking like for you?
The thing is that I was always kind of crafty, like always doing stuff with my hands, but I never went to art school because I didn't know that was a possibility. I had the impression that if you don't know how to draw from the beginning, you don't go to art school. Huh? It never occurred to me that you go to art school to learn how to draw, Nobody even told me, I'm coming from a very small town in a rural area, and I didn't know any artists, I didn't know any tattoo artists, anybody doing anything related to art, So I just assumed that was not for me. But I met a bunch of people when I was growing up that were very involved into punk, organizing concerts, playing in bands, all this stuff. And of course, we were printing stuff for them. I didn't play any instrument, but I wanted to be part of the crew. So we were printing for them. We were printing T-shirts, we were printing album covers, fanzines, the whole thing, And that's how I started printing. We had this print room in an old squad, with, I don't know, very basic equipment. And it was a lot of fun, it was dirty and we could do anything. That was amazing, If you like a band, you will just print the t-shirts of the band or whatever, It was really fun, actually. So that's how I started with the screen printing part of it. And then I moved to Norway and I opened my own screen printing studio over there because I didn't speak Norwegian. I didn't want to work on anything else. So I did exactly that. I opened a small screen printing studio and I was printing for bands that were coming to play or whatever. And at some point, it occurred to me that maybe it would be nice to start printing the stuff that I would draw. And that's how I decided, okay, maybe I have to learn how to draw some things. I asked for a lot of advice. I have some very good friends back then that were tattooers, especially, and they gave me a lot of advice. And that's how I slowly, how do you say this in English? I taught myself. That's how you say it. I didn't go to school or anything, but I learned how to make some basic drawings so I could start printing, And it was also back in the time that I started to see some geek posters around me. I didn't know so much about the geek poster culture before, but I went to some shows. I remember very clearly, for example, a Chelsea Wolfe show where I saw beautiful posters he had there. And it was like, oh, wow. So this is something that is possible to do, I can make some nice illustration, print it in paper, which was like a different thing. We would always print t-shirts and stuff like that, and suddenly print like a poster on paper, and it will have like this collector value, this kind of art value to it, And that's a little bit how I put my nose into this war. At the beginning, it was a disaster. Or not disaster, but it was more like try and fail, constantly. And I will print like always for friends and very small punk bands, or people that was passing by. But yeah, that's how it grew. It grew from there. Yeah.
That's awesome. And when you say like triumph and failures, when it comes to the failures, did you find that there were more screen printing like technical failures, or it was more like the illustrations weren't as good as you wanted them to be at the time?
Everything. My general feeling when it comes to illustration and printing now finally, and we are talking 10 years later, I'm starting to lose this feeling. But my general feeling was of huge stress and frustration. Always, this, when you start illustrating and you have a clear idea in your head of what you want to represent, and you cannot, there's no way you can do that with your hands, you kind of see the image, but you don't have the technical ability for it. You don't know how to apply a shadow, or you don't know how to, I don't know, it was a disaster. Also, I didn't have the tools. I was using Illustrator back then. I was not, I don't know if it's because probably because I never went to art school, or because I never decided to consider myself an artist. I never dared to get art supplies, I never use, I don't know, oil painting or wash or any of that, I was always gravitating towards digital illustration, because it kind of felt that it was more accessible for me, maybe. Somehow it required maybe less technique. I don't know exactly why. But yeah, I remember those times of very, very high frustration. And then once I had an illustration that more or less could work, the printing was also horrible, because there were so many things that can go wrong, the screen was not right, the ink will dry, the color, the mixing of the colors, you are going to screen print and you want to have this beautiful green, and then you try to mix the colors, and it's not coming out, because you don't have maybe some color theory, education, or whatever. So I remember that also as well, like, oh, this blue is totally ugly, it's not what I wanted to have. So it was a lot of frustration. And it has been years, but sometimes I still have that feeling of, this illustration is not working out, and I don't understand why. but it has to do with the lack of technique mostly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a learning process.
Absolutely. And I can totally relate, and I still get all those hurdles with just about every piece I do, you know. But that's like, I don't know. I think that's maybe like one misconception I think a lot of people have about artists is they think that it just it's like becomes easy to them. And I find for
Mm-hmm.
most artists, it's more like you just learn and then you know how to apply your effort. But I don't find anything that I ever create as easy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like you really have to practice, you know. Nothing comes. There is people who is really gifted and they can play an instrument amazing or they can draw amazing without just out from scratch. But usually art requires practice. If you want to write a good book, if you want to write a good song or you have to sit down and do it all the time. And yeah, it can be a very frustrating, sometimes very frustrating. At least for me, it was a very frustrating process. So it made me suffer a lot.
I was curious too. So like, what did it feel like to be in Norway then, when you didn't speak Norwegian, but you're still starting a print shop? Like, was that also a very stressful period, or were there some other aspects that made it a lot more natural for you?
No, I don't think it was stressful. The thing is that there is this amazing network of people, I would say all over the world, you know, this underground music network of people. I went to Norway because I knew people from Norway because they would have come to play in our squads with their punk bands or metal bands back in the day, you know, and we will be friends. And then they will be like, yeah, come to visit to Norway or anywhere, you know. I could travel almost all over Europe. And I think in the States it's the same, you know, like there is this network of underground concerts and small bands. I never played in a band, but I will go on tour with my friends, and we will stop in different venues all over the continent, you know, and you get to know people. So I didn't go to Norway like you go looking for a job or anything. I went to Norway because I had friends in Norway, and it was already this network of people was there already. So that was, it's, I think it's pretty amazing, and it's something that we shouldn't lose so much, you know, like
Absolutely.
this kind of very cool connections through music and art. Yeah, you get to know super interesting people doing. Actually, I remember that, you know, like I said before, I come from a very small town. And when I start traveling with my friends, and I was amazed by things that people were doing. You know, I would see people screen printing or doing murals or playing music, and I would see the venues or the houses where they were living, and I was amazed by that. You know, that really kind of opened my eyes to what was possible to do, and yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, Norway was not especially stressful for me. Of course, language is difficult, but yeah, something very good about Norway is that they have a huge musical culture there.
Do you recall like your first like bigger band that you worked with in terms of making a screen printed poster, like and how that went?
Yes, actually, and I was kind of surprised that they accepted to have a gig poster. I think my first bigger band was Elder. It's not like they are huge, you know, but Elder for me back then was a band that I was not expecting they will want to have some job from me. Because I was writing them, you know, I would just send an email like, hey, I'm Lara, I want to make a poster for you. That's how I made a lot of my work and a lot of my connections, you know. I just sent emails to people, and they said yes, and that was very cool.
Yeah.
That was really amazing. It was really cool because I, I, I think a little bit before them, I really wanted to make a poster for Neurosis because Neurosis was playing in Oslo. And I tried so much, but I didn't know how to do it. You know, I remember writing some message on Facebook to someone at Neurot Records or something like that, and they answered to me very nicely. You know, like, but nothing happened. It was I was confused how to approach these bands. It felt like a bit difficult. But Elder said yes. It was very nice, and I made a poster for them. They were playing at Blow. It's a nice venue in Oslo, and after that they also said like, "Hey, we really like the poster. We would like to make T-shirts with this design," and that was amazing. It was like, wow, I cannot believe it. I kind of it was I was so excited about the whole thing. Like a T-shirt and poster for Elder. It was very good, and they were super nice, very friendly people. So yeah, they
And then
kind of
you've
kill a bit
continued then.
the. Yeah, I continue. They kind of kill a bit the edge, like the nervousness of this first approach. They said yes, and I thought, well, if they say yes, other ones might say yes as well. So I'm gonna keep trying to do this. And after them, I made. I remember it was a tour with Job and Black Cobra. They were touring together. I think it was 2016. I made posters for them. I love Job. It's one of my favorite bands, and that was very cool to make a poster for them. Yeah, then they start to come. Some people will never answer to your emails, and some people, by some kind of miracle, will be interested and say yes, and that's how it started. Yeah,
That's
it's kind
cool.
of
So
funny
it's
to
like a
look at.
mix of it's a mix of you reaching out with genuine appreciation of the music, and then once you get a couple going, it's easier to keep the ball rolling in terms of getting more.
Yeah, at the end, somehow you have to have something to show. I also understand that if someone approaches you with very good intention, but nothing to show for, it's kind of risky to say yes. I want to work with you. Uh, but I will do everything. I will make the illustration, I will print the poster, I will go to the concert, I will be at the merch table selling the posters myself. I will share the edition with the band. So I will do everything because I wanted to have the opportunity to be there, and to make these posters. So
Yeah, full
I
service.
don't I don't think it's a common an uncommon experience. I think a lot of the people I know who is making big posters, they started more or less like that, going to the gig, and yeah, yeah, it was
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah.
And I imagine nowadays is making and printing posters your favorite type of work that you do, as opposed to shirt designs. Do you have a preference?
Um, yeah. The thing is that because for me, printing is the way to make a physical product out of my illustration. Because you're an illustrator, you use pencil
Yeah,
and paper or
traditional. Yeah,
traditional. So that means that you have an original. That's your work. But I don't have that. I draw digitally. So for me, the process of having is not an original per se, but the satisfaction. I really feel like I achieve the final form of my illustration when I have a printed poster in my hand.
yeah,
Because I have all these digital drawings, and then I go to the studio and I mix the colors and I prepare the screens and I make all this process of printing. And the cool thing of screen print is that you build layer after layer. So the illustration reveals itself. So first you put one random color and it looks like nothing, and then another on top, and suddenly there it is. Something that you imagine one day, it becomes like this big format poster. And that's very satisfying for me. And yeah, it's like yeah, it's the physical proof, that I did something.
absolutely. Yeah, and I could see that.
Yeah,
That must feel so
yeah,
good to like hold them up and everything.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's cool.
I was curious one more thing related to kind of your beginnings then with, being in the squat and like the DIY thing. I was just kind of curious
Mm.
now that it's been so many years beyond that, but do you still keep up with a lot of those people that you've met, with your travels around Europe and that kind of like lifestyle? Do you feel still connected to that to a certain degree?
Yeah, I still feel connected to that to a certain degree. Yes. It's true that I am a way more private person at the moment. Like, um, I don't necessarily enjoy so much, yeah, hanging out or whatever, or going to a million concerts and this kind of stuff. But yeah, I still have very strong connections with that, with the culture and with some people. Some of my best friends, are still from that time. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. And a lot of that people is very creative. It's people who is doing very interesting things like yeah, tattooing or screen printing. There is a very beautiful community of illustrators and screen printers. Uh, and a lot of them are coming from this underground metal punk environment. Because at some point, I guess, if you had a band, and you had some T-shirts, and someone had to print them for you, and so this thing kind of grew, and a lot of very talented people came out of that. Some musicians, some artists, and yeah, there's still a cool community going on around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sounds like it was like a really formidable experience in terms of just kind of like setting you off into thinking about all these things. Um,
Yeah.
I was kind of curious too, like in terms of your illustration and art inspiration, are there like a couple of key influences or people that really get you excited?
Yeah, of course. I always make fun of my work somehow because I always say to my mother, like people pays me to draw birds, it's like it's the most stupid job ever, I'm just drawing birds and cute animals and then I get paid for it and it's amazing, it's just I could never believe it. I couldn't have thought of that years ago, like I will be here drawing a weird bird and so on. Um, um, Inspiration, like when it comes to subjects, I always go to nature and that's where I get my inspiration from.
Hmm.
I really love these old school botanical and zoological illustrators. Of course, the most typical one is Audubon, but there are so many of them, like this kind of a museum print of weird animals, that they don't look like they do in real life, like crooked and a bit ugly.
Right.
Um, so I find those, yeah, very cool, very sweet, very inspiring. But if it comes to modern inspiration, I have a couple of colleagues that I really look up to. One of them is a guy called Max Leffler. He's a German illustrator. He's so cool, man. This guy, he draws in a totally different style than I do. But what I love about this guy is that I always would like to look inside of his head, because he comes with these beautiful scenarios, surrealistic stuff, all his posters kind of tell a story, like a cool story, They really are amazing. I don't know. Every time I see one of his new posters, I'm always like, oh, fuck, I hate this guy. How is he coming out with these ideas? Yeah, he's very cool. I also have a very good friend of mine. Her name is Marine Perez, and she's an amazing tattooer. She also she's very good working with color, which is also very important for me. I have like a very specific idea of the colors I like for my posters. Sometimes I even find myself like repeating these patterns over and over again. Like color is very very important for me. I would say it's equally important as the illustration. Sometimes like
Hmm.
the right combination has to be there, and I get a lot of inspiration about color work from her as well. Uh, she's also an amazing tattoo artist. She makes these very very beautiful modern illustrations. also a lot of birds and animals. She's totally obsessed also with nature and so it's really nice with her. I really can share this kind of love for nature. And actually, once she told me something. Probably she doesn't remember, but I keep remembering this thing. I think a teacher at the art school told her. She told me, when you are making an illustration, it's very important to introduce a strange element. And I always try to, when I'm drawing, I always remember that she told me, introduce a strange element, because a beautiful illustration, people passes by and it's beautiful. But when you put a strange element, people has to stop and go back, because it's like, there's something there that I didn't understand. Like the illustration is, it looks normal, it's beautiful, it's an animal doing something, but there is like a strange element somewhere in the illustration. Maybe the position of the body is a little bit unnatural, or maybe it's just, I don't know, doesn't matter, some smoke coming out from an eye or whatever, but it's something that is going to throw you off a little bit, and it's going to make you stop and look a little bit, because you want to understand what's going on in this illustration. Yeah, those two are really, really, really good illustrators, both of them, and I really enjoy looking at their work.
That's awesome. I like that last point too, of like it can't be just too ordinary. There has to be some twist to just basically make you kind of like double take,
Double take, yeah. That. Yeah, I saw recently you made an illustration. It was like this kind of guy, not a guy, like a skeleton or something laying against a tree, and there is this spider kind of hanging from the. It tells a story, and you have to stop and look at it to understand it. It's not just a guy sitting against a tree, or it's not just like that. You need a minute, to look at it and go through the illustration and understand what's going on,
Yeah.
Or interpret, more than understand, it's more like interpret. You have to interpret what's going on. I think that's a pretty cool way of approaching a new work,
Definitely.
So
yeah. It's just like a quick little. It's like before you start finalizing things, it's a good like checklist item. Like, does it have something interesting before kind of like going too far with it?
Yeah. I know, for example, everybody talks about the drawings of Audubon, because he was, I like the guy a lot. He was drawing birds like nobody else, But if you look at his drawings, they all are a bit weird, All these birds are flying a bit like, they look totally natural. They look good, It's a beautiful drawing, but there is something that is a bit off with them, Mm-hmm. So sometimes I also do that, when I'm gonna draw a bird, for example, instead of placing the wings as they are supposed to be, I just take one of them and I tilt it a little bit in an unnatural position. And the illustration is still the same. It's a bird, your brain is gonna interpret, oh, that's a bird flying, I don't know, among the clouds, doesn't matter. But there is something that is a little bit off, and I like to play a little bit with that. It makes it a bit more interesting, I think.
Definitely. When you were like learning how to illustrate and stuff, what are kind of some of the early lessons that helped you get better quicker? You mentioned that there were some pieces of advice that your friends gave, but I'm also curious what you kind of discovered on your own as you were going through that process of learning.
So that's a very complicated question for me, because I just learned, like, I'm very, very obsessive and I'm very stubborn. So I just did it all the time, I think, okay, this is maybe unpopular, but one of the things that really taught me to draw was to copy people that I admire. The same way that you pick a guitar and you play Nothing Else Matters the first time that you pick a guitar because you don't know how to play anything else. I will take an illustrator from someone I loved and I will copy. I wouldn't sell it as my job, obviously, but I will just copy, try to figure out the composition or the position of the elements or the color or whatever, I will copy a lot. And that way I learn, for example, something I realized kind of early was to exaggerate the shadows a lot, I used to make very flat illustrations because I didn't know how to play with shadow and light. Still, for me, it's a never-ending world, shadow and light, and how to make something more three-dimensional and popping and so. Definitely. But something I realized is that if you don't know how to apply a shadow, just make it huge, exaggerate it, to the maximum. When it looks totally out of proportion, and then start taking it off. You start taking less and less and less until at some point you will say, oh, this is right. And it's probably going to be more than you thought at the beginning, but to learn how to play with extremes a little bit. And that, for example, helped me to apply more, to give more texture sometimes to my illustrations.
Also, just on that.
Yeah.
I was just saying on that point, I totally agree. I still do that as like a warm up in the mornings a lot. So, like, for example, this is just a Frazetta study.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, this one too, kind of same comment with like the shadows. I'll do these just to kind of like, I don't have to think about anything. I just basically kind of study in the morning, and then that helps me out. So I do that even to this day quite a bit.
So you practice every morning? Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I have my coffee, and then I just look at, I kind of bounce between like 12 artists or so that I really like, or like academic stuff. And then I'll practice drawing hands or faces or a figure. And then I don't have to think about it being a creative thing. It's more about just academic practice, like I do that all the time.
It's like a technical exercise. But it really helps because then it kind of shows you, it gets easier, to say, okay, I can make this darker, or this needs like a light focus from here, or, all this kind of exercise is really interesting for that. Like, not every illustration has to be like a masterpiece or anything. It doesn't have to be a finished work, Sometimes it's just okay to play around. So, yeah. And something I'm doing now, because I draw digitally, and with my iPad. I also travel a lot, and it's very cool to just have the iPad with me. I don't need to have any other material or anything. But the problem with digital drawing is that you can always delete what you did, You just can go back. And I realized I'm a slow illustrator. And I realized that I'm extra slow because I can obsess over one line, And this line is crooked, and delete it, and make the line again, maybe I'm making the line 4 times until I like the line I made. And that makes absolutely no sense. Because in the grand scheme of things, when you have a big poster, nobody's going to look at that line. It's nice to make good lines, So I think this is one of the dangers of digital illustration, because you always have the chance to repeat. While you are drawing in paper, the corrections cannot. Once you draw a line, the line is there. You can correct it a little bit here and there, but it's not the same. So I'm really training myself now to accept the lines that I draw. To be more conscious when I'm drawing lines and just accept it, It's not perfect, it's not, but it's going to stay there, I can fix it a little bit around that's it, Because I will end up taking weeks to finish an illustration. And there's nothing wrong with being a slow illustrator, but I need to pay my rent also, And if every illustration is going to take me 2 weeks to finish, I could never. Yeah, it makes no sense, So yeah, right now, this is one of my main focuses, When I'm drawing, the line that I draw stays there. It's digital. I could delete it, but I don't want to, Yes, keep moving and finish once the illustration is finished, you can retouch, and of course you can delete some things and fix it. But I'm trying not to be obsessive with the small details that it's only me, I'm the only person who can really see them. So yeah,
I totally relate to what
we
you're
try.
saying.
Yeah, but with paper and pen, it's a bit more like final, when
You do have to
I
commit
guess.
more. But like you said, you can still do corrections, or you could like pull the line so slow that it's not efficient either. It's it's a balancing act, because it's like you also don't want to go sloppy, so you have to be level-headed in terms of what actually matters and what doesn't, and always having to test that is tricky,
It's tricky. You have to find a bit that balance. Yeah. For me, what I have noticed is that once I have an idea and I have the main lines of the illustration I want to draw, because I always draw first like the main lines of the whole thing, and then I start adding detail. And if I make this practice of not deleting my lines, of accepting my lines, it becomes kind of a meditative process that I really enjoy. Because instead
Yeah.
of being like, oh, it's not good, it's just line after line, because I draw a lot of lines. My illustration is basically lines. I don't add textures or anything. It's mostly line. So, but it can be meditative, and it can really be like, yeah, be more aware of what you are doing in the moment, and yeah, follow the flow of the illustration. And I'm enjoying the process more, than being hypercritical with every fucking line that I'm making. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. This time was the internet connection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. I think I was going on a rant about lines. Only, the only person in the world right now that wants to hear me talking about drawing lines, it's like just.
No, I find it interesting. I can relate completely. And I think everyone who listens to the show, can relate too. It's pretty much all artists who watch the show. I'm pretty sure, at least. Um,
Yeah.
just one more question before we get into showing some of the art.
hmm
Is there anything you wish, as like a fan of illustration and poster art and all that, is there anything that you wish you saw more from the overarching scene? Like, do you kind of get my question?
Something that I wish I would see more.
Yeah. Or you could say you would see less of another type. Like, I guess, is there something maybe that you just wish there were more people tapping into? A certain look or style, or it could be anything.
And also, the first thing that came to mind is that I would like to see less AI at the moment,
Yeah.
because it's kind of coming over, huh? And it's very frustrating sometimes to see musicians using AI for their album covers and this whole thing. I find it pretty lame and lazy, and it's a bad excuse, to use AI. Even some musicians that I have worked with, and I made work for them, and suddenly they come with a tour poster made with AI. It's yeah, not cool at all. So for sure, that's one of the things that I would like to stop seeing
Yeah,
at the moment, immediately, please.
definitely.
But other than that, your question catches me a little bit out of step right now. Something that I would like to see more. There is for sure some kind of generic stuff that it would be nice to stop at some point. It's funny. I understand that, especially when it comes to metal art and this kind of stuff, we are based on cliches. Like the cliches there, and it's cool. We grew up on those cliches. Like skulls and fire or whatever. And some of them are really cool. But yes, sometimes it feels a bit too generic. Like you
Hmm.
can take away the name of the band and you could put any other name of any other band, and the thing will still fit. It sometimes has happened to me that I make a design for a band, and for whatever reason, yeah, it's not accepted, or the band goes in a different direction, and then I end up with this design, and it takes me very, very much time to find another band that I could fit this design for, because somehow in my head this was meant for them, and I understand that for the general public, it doesn't make a big difference, like design is a design, and it could fit as long as it's more or less in the style, of the band. It could fit almost any band. But yeah, I don't know. I for I don't know. I think it's nice to make. If a band comes to you for a design, I like to make a design for them. I like to play their music. I like to look at their. I always make like a fast Google search. I'll see what kind of merch they have, what other things they have been doing. I listen a little bit to their music, and I try to make something that is like for them, more than to have this portfolio of available designs. Pick one. I put your name here, which is okay, I guess. But yeah, it takes me forever to make an illustration, so I never have available portfolio. So it has to be it has to be the other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
How do you divide your time between illustration and printing then? Like,
Mm,
do you spend more hours a week doing printing stuff, or
no,
is it the
not
way
at all.
around?
The thing is that my ex-husband is a screen printer. Like I really, really learned screen print properly when I moved to Germany.
Okay.
He's a German printer. A millimeter is a lot for that guy. there is
Very
there is no room
exact.
for mistake. Yes, he's very precise. And it can be very annoying printing with him, but it was also because I was coming from printing in a small room in a squat, and it
Yeah.
would be like, yeah, it fits more or less. It fits, it's good enough. But for him, that's not good enough at all. So I really, really learned screen printing from him. He had a studio here in Berlin, and we were printing amazing posters. Like this guy, he put my printing into a level that I don't want to step down anymore from. Okay, like I'm
Got it.
happy. I'm proud of the posters I was printing by myself, but this is a different thing. They look very nice. I always get these comments like, because people see pictures of my posters maybe on internet or social media, but when they see them in real life, there's something about the texture, the touch of the screen print, the colors, in big format, they look really, really good. So yeah, anyway, he moved to a different city, like 3-4 hours away from Berlin. So right now, what I'm doing is to go there to visit maybe once a month or every 5-6 weeks. I take a week, I drive over there, and then we spend a week printing. Like I kind of try to accumulate as many print jobs as I can in that week, and then that's the thing. If not, he will print for me. But
Yeah.
if I can print, I want to print, because, like I said, this is really the. If not, I will miss the manual stuff too much. I will miss that part of the process very much. So yeah, right now it's a little bit different. Like I cannot go print every week or anything, but yeah, still works. Still works.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a good system.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's pull up some of the art. Talk about the making of it, maybe the interactions with the bands as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
can go like full screen if that makes it easier for you to see everything. And then for anybody
Okay.
watching it, I recommend it for sure. So starting it out, we got this elder work.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love Elder. They are very nice. And look, the one over there with the snake, That was that first design I made for Elder. I
Okay.
think it was 2016 or something like that. I draw that snake with Illustrator. It's to draw all those scales with Illustrator. I don't know how the fuck I wouldn't do it right now. It was like this very tedious and horrible job, and I really suffer a lot doing it. But but then they liked it very much, and then they printed on T-shirts, like I told you before, and that was very cool. And since that happened, I took Elder and I put them on my top pantheon of bands that are nice and great to work with. And yeah, I since then I always wanted to have more opportunities to work with them. Yeah, they don't play so often live at the moment, but they played at Desert Fest Berlin this year, and I made that design that you have there for this year at Desert Fest, the one with the two ravens. That design actually, I really love impossible geometries. I think they're very cool, because they have that element we were talking about before, like they make sense, but they don't make sense at the same time, like how is this thing made? How is this possible? Yeah. So I saw that shape somewhere, and I thought that looks like a nice element for a lock, for a key, and that's how the rest of the thing grew around. I think this is the 20th poster I have of two birds fighting. I have so many bird fights, but it's a nice. Birds always give you great composition, because they are very dynamic and you can always add another element, like a rope or some smoke or some chain or whatever. And yeah, I love drawing like this kind of bird fights or interactions. So yeah, this was for this year's, and they also made some merch design with this poster. So usually what you see there in the middle, that's the kind of a sketch I send to bands.
Okay.
It's a very kind of basic sketch. I always add a little bit of color because I have the impression that if you're not an illustrator, maybe to see something just with a few lines, black and white, might feel a bit underwhelming.
Right.
So I always add a little bit of color to make it like, hey, look, it's not gonna be just this plain thing, it's gonna have some color and texture. But yeah, that's the sketch I sent for them. They said, yes, we love it, go for it, let's make t-shirts and let's make posters. So,
and then did you print both the shirts and the posters?
No, I don't print t-shirts. Okay. The thing is that I only have access to manual printing and sometimes printing t-shirts manually, especially this was probably a big edition of t-shirts. I would guess they would print 500 or more,
Right.
And that's much easier to print with automatic machines. But the posters, yes, the posters are print by hand. I usually make like edition. Yeah, I make editions like 70, 80 posters. Sometimes I go up to 100, but those are more or less the numbers I like to make. Yeah.
And what type of paper do you usually use for like a poster print?
Right now I'm using. Yeah, right now I'm using 3 different kinds of paper. When you are printing, you also have to keep in mind that the color of the paper can be part of the color of the illustration. Yeah. In this case, it's not like that. It's just the full color, which means that paper is going to hold a lot of ink, okay? Because you have 2 greens, 1 yellow, and 1 full black surface. So we are using some heavy paper. I think it's 270 grams white paper. It's nothing super special, but it's a kind of paper that we tested many different papers. And this one is the one that holds the best because once you print the first color, especially if it's a big surface, what might happen is that the paper expands a little bit, It's going to absorb a lot of the water from the ink because we print water-based. So it will absorb a lot of the water from the ink and it might grow a little bit to the sides. It depends because the paper has a direction. Usually In our case, usually it grows to the sides horizontally. Depends on how the direction of the fibers is and so. What's the problem with that? The problem with that is that once the paper grew a little bit with the first color, to match the rest of the colors on top, it can be a really real pain in the ass. Because, it has a registration, and if the design has been made in a way that everything has to fit and register very tight, that can be a real issue. So this is the paper we found that has the best response. It still works a little bit, but it has the best response for our kind of printing. So yeah. Also, when I design, I keep that in mind. I really design with screen print in mind. I don't want my drawings to stay in the digital world. I want to print them. So I try to design always thinking, okay, the paper will move a little bit. I have to make sure that the registration is easy. So I have some tricks there just to make sure that everything is gonna fit. Yeah.
What would be like some aspects that would make something maybe look good digitally, but not as successful on a print then?
Yeah. Some textures don't look so well printed, for example. They can give you some kind of moire kind of feeling, especially if you are printing a lot of tiny dots. They can get some moire. I think my taste, okay? This is my taste. I think screen print works really good with bold, strong colors, not necessarily neons or fluors, no, but bold, beautiful colors, in big surfaces. It works very well for a screen print. I think, like I said, maybe when you see the digital idea of the poster, it's okay. But when you see it printed, it has this, my lack of words in English, I'm sorry, but it has some kind of intensity. So that's why I like to screen print the most, You can print like very detailed stuff,
Like limiting number of colors as well. Would that be another aspect?
Like
keeping it like 4?
Yeah, I usually print 3-4 colors. Of course, you can go to many colors. My partner, my ex-husband, he was printing a 12-color poster this week, and it looks very beautiful. It's amazing. But I prefer to stay in this range of 3, 4, 5 colors maybe. And for example, also I have seen people. For example, do you reproduce your drawings when you draw with a pen on paper? There's a way that you reproduce them.
Yeah, I'll scan it in, and then I've done a little bit of poster work, nothing nearly what you've done, but I'll scan as pure black and white, and that way it can like come on a little bit better. And I have to try to be careful not to go too small with the marks.
And then you screen print them.
I don't know. I send it to somebody else, but I'm starting to try to think more along that way for reproduction. With each piece, I get a little bit better at that.
Yeah. The thing, for example, is that if you don't have a very good printer that can understand the way the drawing has to translate into screen print, you can really ruin a good drawing. You have a drawing on pen, you have all these nuances, these grays, blacks. It has a lot of different shadows. And that's a bit more difficult to translate into a screen print. There are printers that are able to do it, and of course, these people are making amazing stuff. But my experience was always, and I think me coming first from a screen print has influenced the way I illustrate as well, because I don't make split fontaine textures, I don't make shadings and colors going to different colors, I go for
like I said, surfaces of color that match on top of each other until they become this illustration, like, yeah. And this is because I'm coming from printing specifically. I have seen many times people coming from other forms of art, and then they want to translate their job into a print, into a screen print. It's difficult, because suddenly they have to reduce the number of colors, or I don't know, or suddenly they have 3 different shades of blue, and maybe it's not necessary. Maybe you have to. Everything is possible if you want to print 12 colors or 10, or you want.
You gotta simplify, yeah.
But for me, the idea of simplified, I always try to simplify it. It works best for me, and yeah, sometimes I don't think about it as a limitation, but I think about it as like a playground. This is what you have, and this is where I move. And if you look at my illustration, it's really fucking simple. I usually have like one base color, one shadow, one complementary color, and then a dark color on top. Because that formula works very well for me. It's true that maybe at some point it's like, oh, maybe I'm a bit trapped in this formula, and I would like to break out from it. Problem is, I work on commission, so I maybe have 4 or 5 commissions, and sometimes I don't have time, to break my formula and go experiment. It would be nice to have a month to sit in my house and just go crazy on my thing. But this formula, and this is the reason why people approaches me for my work, because they like the way I illustrate or whatever, is this. It's like basic color, one shadow, complementary, and dark, and that builds up these illustrations, and it's nice to print, and it really looks beautiful once it's printed.
Yeah.
So that's the formula. If you really look at the rest of my illustrations, it's pretty basic formula, and you can already see it almost in the first Elder poster I made. You have the blue and a complementary. In this case, it was a gold. I'm a bit obsessed with metallic gold printing, because it looks really amazing when it's finished. But yeah, it works.
Definitely. No,
I don't know if a formula is a good thing or a bad thing necessarily. Sometimes it can feel a bit constrictive, and sometimes it's just, if it works, why to change it? Just keep doing this, or maybe it's a style, or I don't know.
It's a little bit of both, like you've said. I mean, having, as an illustrator, predictability is why people usually work with you. It's because you've done stuff similar to what they want. So they want something that is like, yes, its own unique thing, but they want to be able to see the end in sight, or else they would go to a different artist. I think there's a little bit of truth in that.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes people approach us like, hey, I saw the poster you made for blah, blah, blah. We want something like that or something. Yeah, it happens.
Definitely. Oh, whoops. So there's another piece for Elder, and then Cadaver?
Yeah, Cadaver. This has been my biggest piece until now. I think this was 1 meter 25.
Wow.
On the horizontal. Yeah, they were playing. This was the first Desert Fest in Berlin after the pandemic. And during the pandemic, Elder and Cadaver, they got together in the practice room and they made a new band, like this kind of pandemic bands, called Eldovar. It was like a mix of both of them. And they actually record, I think, one vinyl, but it was like this just for that time of the pandemic,
Yeah.
So during that festival, they both played Elder and Cadaver, and I thought, it would be nice to make something for the whole combo, like how these two bands are kind of friends and they like to play together and so on. So I proposed them to make this triptych, and oh man, this was a bad idea. I mean, the the end result I really like, and it was a lot of fun. But I remember sitting in the studio, finishing, while my partner was printing one of the sides, because this was divided in three parts. while he was printing one of the parts, I was just drawing, finishing the other part, you know. and because the festival was like in 3 days or something, like always last minute, a lot of stress. And of course, for whatever reason, the toilet decided to explode in the studios. Everything was flooded, and it was a
Oh my God.
really messy time. Okay, so we had a guy there like fixing the toilet, and he was printing, and I was trying to finish this illustration. But yeah, it was very cool. And there is something very nice about big formats, you know.
Yeah.
It's not always big is better, but to hold this big piece, you know, was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, and I also, there is something I really would like to explore more when it comes to creative ideas about these posters. I really love this concept of huge animals like taking over the ruins of mankind somehow, you know, like what happens when humans disappear from the planet or something like that. So I also made a poster for Mono, this Japanese band.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know, yeah. And it was like the ruin of a Gothic cathedral with a huge snake, you know, just climbing through the walls and so on. So that's a concept that I really like. So it came, the wolf came first, you know, because I like that idea of this kind of Roman ruin with this wolf, huge thing passing by. Yeah, this was fun. It was fun one to do, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this one's really interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Full of hell. I tell you about full of hell. Okay, so this poster is from a time where I was kind of obsessed with the immune system because my ex-husband was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And that thing that you see in the middle of the poster, that's a dendritic cell. I'm no expert, okay? I don't have the whole scientific... I just grab a concept and I thought, oh, that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
So these cells, they have these tentacles and they go around your body and they kind of touch things around, you know? And these cells are the ones that decide if something is a friend or an enemy, more or less, you know? So, for example, if you have a peanut allergy, this cell will go there and touch a peanut and say, oh, this is deadly, you know? And it will result into a full anaphylactic shock or something like that. It's way more complex than that, you know? It's obviously, I'm not scientist or anything, but that's more or less the basic idea of this cell, you know? And in this book that I was reading about the immune system, it said something like the immune system is one of the things that can kill you the fastest in nature. Like any poison or anything can kill you, but if your own body, your own immune system decides like we have to attack because this is an enemy, it will shoot you down in seconds, you know.
Right.
And that was kind of creepy. It was horrible to read, especially because my partner back then was suffering from an autoimmune disease.
Tell me a little bit about how you did all these different color prints for it. Like, how did that decision kind of come up to have so much variety with it in the set?
The thing is that I didn't print all these colors. The first idea of this poster was to make one of these kind of Japanese only red prints.
Okay.
Which is the one you have up there on the right.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't work so well. I was not so convinced about it. I like to play with different colors and I make different tests, you know. So these are all the different tests I was making with this print. And at the end, I printed two. I printed the bottom right one and the top left. Those are the two that were printed at the end. For the concert, the one on the top on the left is the one that was available. But then that print, I actually have it here next to me. Here.
Wow.
That's the print. Yeah, it's funny how this print connected very much with a lot of people. it's also my most abstract illustration, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very cool. It has this kind of dirty, a bit sick look to it that I really, really like. So yeah, I didn't print all the color variations, but yeah, these are the two that I printed. But sometimes it's difficult to choose. Sometimes I make these color variations and then I show it to my friends or to my partner, or hey, come on, which one do you prefer? And I'm hoping that somehow they will give me the answer. But like I will have like unanimity, like this is the good one. But
Right.
it's never like that,
No.
At the end, I think you have to go just with your gut feeling, which is the one that you like the most. And if you like it, it will have an audience. And that's it. That's enough, But yeah, this was a fun one. This is one of my favorite posters I ever made. And I was not even at the concert because they played in Oslo. So I just shipped the posters to them. But yeah, one of my favorites, definitely.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's like a balance of like chaos and abstraction with like really tight, solid design. Like the way that's like in a rectangle, and then the lettering, like it's got that contrasting element, which is really nice.
Yeah, very simple. Actually, those stickers that people who are doing tags around, they have like my name is blah blah blah, and it's like a red square. So it's coming a little bit from that idea, like to have like a contain thingy over there. I also like that the tentacles are kind of escaping out from the from the square. That's something that I also do very often, is to push the illustration out of the margins of the paper. I really like it. And actually, I practice that in this. I have the illustration, and at some point I will take it and I will oversize it, to see how much I can expand it out of the paper,
Yeah.
And sometimes it works better. Sometimes it's nice to have some parts that you don't see, that they are just out there,
Yeah, that
than
makes
to
a ton
have
of sense.
constrained illustration. So yeah, I really like the tentacles going out of this.
Yeah, beautiful.
This was a cool one. Oh yeah.
Also got some progress shots and things about this one. But yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, this was an album cover. It's for a band in Norway. I don't do a ton of album covers. I don't know why exactly. I don't have a fixed reason for that, but I don't do a lot of album covers necessarily. I don't know if it's because my work doesn't really fit, or because I really like to print. I always prioritize, I think, stuff that I can print, or I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they approached me. This is funny because they only gave me the name of the album, Solemn. So it was like, yeah, sure. I'm sure I can work with something around that. So actually, this guy before, it had like a hood and a book, and then it looked too much like some kind of a monk or something. So the band was like, no, it's too, yeah, it looked a bit like medieval kind of thing. So we changed it for the crown and the scepter. But yeah, this was it was a fun project. I think album covers, of course, because you do the album, but it's not the cover, but it's not just the cover. You have to make the back cover, and you have to make the insert, and you have to make the whole thing, and then probably the band, which is something that I'm gonna tell you privately. I hate to make a CD layout. Is something that really, really breaks my nerves. The booklet of a CD is one of my worst nightmares. Like, oh my god. They have to put lyrics in there and stuff. But yeah, the good thing about this kind of jobs when I'm working with album covers and so is that I can add some stuff. Like this one, for example, has some kind of textures that I will never add when it comes to screen printed work. Screen printed work is way more plain. and this one can have some dirt and texture. So it allows me also to explore a little bit in that direction, because it's something that I don't usually do,
Right.
to work with textures. Yes. Yeah.
And then
This. These are like the different elements of the cover. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, when you have like a yeah, I don't know how to call it, but the illustration has like these different elements, like the old man and the crown and the bird and so on. So it's nice to be able to pick them out, and to play with them around and so on. So, yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
We got
yeah,
a lot of art to show, so
yeah.
I'm not gonna ask questions about all of them.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. You don't have to. Oh yeah, Monolord.
I love this one on the left in particular.
Yeah, that one was, but that concert never happened. That's a poster for a Ghost concert.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it was 2021, and when concerts were canceling and the whole thing. So the poster was ready, and I think it was even printed when the band wrote me like, "Hey, we have to cancel the concert." But it was already printed, so they were like, "Yeah, let's sell it online, and whatever, and we take the profit and we whatever." But yeah, it's a poster for a Ghost concert. It also plays a little bit with this concept I was telling you before, like these huge animals, like this is some kind of cosmic owl, with this kind of galaxy going through, plays with the idea of wisdom and this something huge, for me, it's kind of floating in the middle of the universe or something like that. This
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love the ring around it.
Yeah. It's orbitating around, because I could have drawn the eye, but then it felt too much like the illustration of a bird, which is cool. It's a nice thing, So I had the eye already drawn on it, and it felt like it's an owl.
Yeah.
It's cool, beautiful owl, but it's just an owl. And then it was like, let me play around and see if I can. So that kind of planet plays a little bit the role of an eye, but it's not, Then you look at it and it's like, no, it's an orbit, So it's a planet that is orbiting around. So yeah, that was very cool, that one. I think Monolord is the band I have made the most posters for, probably. I think I made more. Yeah, and I have, I think, 2 more or 3 more somewhere there. Yeah, this one with the bats was funny because there are 3. Now there are 4, but there were 3 guys in the van. So it was nice to represent them a little bit like bats hanging out. That's a pretty old poster. That's 2019, and I have the feeling when I see these jobs, it's always like, oh, I will never do it like that anymore. Like I will do something. I could take the same concept and draw it again, Sometimes there are posters that I like very much, the concept, and I would like to take them again and do them with the technical skills I have now, or I don't know, be able to improve them somehow.
With the bats there, what do you think you would have done differently now?
I don't know, probably it feels a bit naked, the poster for me. Like I like the concept of the 3 bats, they are cool, but I feel like something is missing perhaps. And also the color, for example, in this one, the bats only have this light purple and dark purple. Maybe I could put some accents, with the yellow and I don't know, have a little bit more depth to the illustration with some light, purple light. Yeah, I don't know. But it's a fun one, yeah.
I see what you mean. But yeah, it's really cool composition. I just love like bats upside down. Looks really cool.
Yeah, they are, and they have these funny faces. I also like them very much. Yeah. So, Steve Until. This is the latest poster I have made.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. This was very cool, actually. I told this story on Instagram not too long ago, because I really, really love Neurosis. Like, I think for a lot of us coming from punk and all this stuff, Neurosis was like this band that was. There are some bands that are a little bit like in this how do you call it, hinge between metal and punk, that
Right, like the in
kind of
between.
they join different wars a little bit, and Neurosis. I think they have a little bit of that role. So yeah, I really wanted to make to work with Neurosis. I actually worked with Neurosis before I made a poster for them in 2019.
Yeah, I think we
And
got that
was
one
very
coming.
cool. Okay. That one was very cool. But that poster for Neurosis, I pushed for it, I got the contact of the guy that was taking care of that for them, like organizing some posters for the tour and so on. So I got his contact and I wrote him and I said, I would like to make a poster, blah, blah, this whole thing, which is amazing. I don't mind to work like that, it's fine. But it feels a bit different when someone comes to you,
Right.
Because sometimes I have the feeling, I don't know how it's with Neurosis, okay? But with some bands, especially if they are bigger bands, I don't know if they even see the artwork, like in the sense, like maybe they are touring, they have 5, 10, 12 posters during the tour, and maybe some bands, they don't keep track of everything that is being printed for them, or I don't know who gives the final approval of the artwork, like did
Right.
Neurosis take a poster, look at it and say, oh yeah, this is cool, it represents our music, tell her that she can print it. I don't know if that's happened there, So to have it the other way around, like, hey, I follow your art, I like what you are doing, please make something for my tour. That's it feels good, it's very nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was super easy to work with Steve. Like, I think also there is a feeling with people that has been moving around for a while, playing music for a while. They have a way to express what they want, It's more like straightforward, like, look, this is the concept, it's like this, blah, blah, blah. So it was actually very easy to work with him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
You're not like feeling like you're chasing something. It's just like the directness is helpful.
Yes, sometimes I have the feeling, especially with bands, I understand you are in a band and you're going to spend some money in a design that you want to print on t-shirts or whatever, or your album cover or whatever, and you have all these ideas, and maybe you are 3, 4 guys, or people in the band, and each of them has an input for the idea, and everything can become a bit confusing and a bit difficult,
Yeah.
Too much, and then you present an idea and a sketch. They're like, yes, but can you make the coyote look to the other side? And they start to get into details that sometimes don't help the development of the design too much,
Yeah.
It's nice to have input from the bands and from the artists, and I mean, it's important and it's very welcome, and it's very important to find the right design for everybody. But I have the impression that with musicians that have been around for a longer time, they already have learned also a bit about this process, how to communicate with an artist and how to say, hey, I want this, I wanted to have this feel around. Yeah. So it was very easy actually to make this thing for Steve. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was cool.
So here's the Neurosis.
This is the Neurosis poster. Yeah, 2019. I had a brilliant idea, I don't know why, to use gold leaf for this poster. Instead of printing, because we have this ink that is mixed with a golden pigment, and it prints beautifully gold, shiny, fantastic. But instead of that, it was like, oh, let's make it a bit more difficult. And I actually put that gold leaf in 80 posters. So you have to put a piece of gold leaf and then
you like scrub it out, kind of, right?
Yeah, with a brush and brush it around until the whole studio was full of pieces of gold leaf for months. Really months. It was coming from everywhere. It's like a glitter party kind of thing. But yeah, it was fun. I think I had this need to make something special because it was Neurosis and I wanted to be very special, And maybe at the end it was not so special. I could have done something more relaxed and more chill. Like when you have this pressure, like I can make a poster for Neurosis, this band I love so much, and then you overcomplicate things in your head because you want it to be really, really amazing. But yeah, I still like the poster. I think it's a great poster, but I never ever used gold leaf again in my life. That was.
Yeah, I can definitely totally relate with what you mean. Is like you got this like big opportunity, you just want to like aim really high, but in this case, it wasn't. It was like misplaced effort,
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Maybe a little bit.
It's a beautiful piece, though.
Yeah. I'm still very happy with the piece. Yes. Yeah. It has a lot of symbolism. I really like to play with symbolism in my work. Like there are some elements that always repeat themselves. Like keys and fire and the knife. Like all these kind of things hold a lot of meaning for me. So yeah. I still love this piece very much.
What about this?
Oh, yeah. This is. I know it's not related to music, but I wanted to show you this one. This is a project I made for I'm losing my words. It's a project I made to get money for a safe house here in Berlin. A safe house is a house where people who is escaping from domestic violence they can hide. It's a secret house. So you can just go there and they will give you a place to stay and nobody knows where you are and you can like try to restart your life somehow. And the idea was to sell these bandanas and the money was donated to this safe house. So I was thinking, what can I do for the illustration? And I was researching a little bit. I found this Greek myth. It's called Philomela. It was a woman that was sexually abused and her rapist, he cut her tongue because the idea was that she couldn't denounce him, so of course it's a myth. So the gods turn her into a nightingale because it's a bird that sings all the time, So they turn her into this bird so she could always sing her story and always tell her story no matter what. And then I took these plants around. That's sage. Sage is a typical plant that you can make a tea when you have a sore throat or something, So I took those two elements and we make these bandanas because I thought a bandana is a very good element because you can actually put it around your neck and it will also protect your voice, So the whole idea of this piece was like protect your voice so you can always tell your story, you can say whatever has happened to you. So yeah, this piece actually, I still have it printed on paper. I take it to every market, every festival, and people ask me for it. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that someone started to cry in front of me when I told them this story. It's a very emotional piece, but I love it for that. It has sparked so many conversations and so many connections with people, coming to the stand. And yeah, it's an emotional piece, and it's already a few years old, but this one that I keep printing as much as I can. Like I want to always keep it on my available. So,
beautiful, and I like all the symbolism and like how well thought out it all is. Yet, even if you don't know that, it stands on its own in terms of being a really powerful illustration. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't need to know the meaning of an illustration. I'm sure most artists, they have all these ideas about what they are drawing and what they are doing. But as an audience, you can just look at a piece and think, oh, that's beautiful. It fits me. I don't need to know what's behind it.
Yeah.
But some people, they really want to know and they approach asking like, why did you do this? Why did you draw that? Why is this? And yeah.
That's awesome.
So a good one. Yeah. Oh, Brutus. Yeah. Fuck, I love Brutus. They are an amazing band. The first poster I made for them is the one on the right.
Okay.
This is again. So I really like Brutus. Okay, and they were not super huge back then, but this is when they released the record that really kind of made them more popular or more well known. And I had the chance to make a poster for them, which is the one on the right, the black one with the different elements. And I had this idea to make like one of these curiosity cabinets, you know, these things where you have a lot of different elements together.
Yeah.
This is a poster that I will never be satisfied with, because it kind of happened to me what we were talking about before. I was very excited about making something for Brutus, and it didn't come true, you know. I freeze a little bit, you know. I wanted to make something a bit more complex or a bit more meaningful, and at the end, I feel for myself that I didn't manage, you know. I got a bit short. I mean, the poster still works and it's beautiful to look at, but for me personally, it was a bit unsatisfying when I finished this poster. So I was very happy that I had the chance to make the other poster, because that one I was a bit more relaxed, you know, like you shake your shoulders a little bit and it's like, okay, let's do this. And that one really felt like that's a Brutus poster, you know. That's something I really wanted to make for them. I think they are a very powerful band. They have a lot of energy and they have a lot of rage, you know, like some kind of anger in the music. So I made this poster like, like when you burn yourself with your own rage, you know, when you have this kind of anger and you cannot hold it and you explode in flames, you know. So yeah, and that poster was like it was super cool also to work with them. They really liked the illustration, and yeah, the poster was sold out during the concert. It was very nice. So that's also one of my favorite posters. Also, I really like the empty space at the bottom, you know, like this kind of like you don't have to fill the whole space, you know, to make
yeah.
to
Feels
make a
kind of
powerful
cinematic, like movie poster a little bit, like a graphic movie poster.
Yeah, I really started the poster with the idea of a triangle for whatever reason, you know. Sometimes you just get obsessed. Sometimes you start a poster with an idea and it doesn't work, and it's good to know when you have to drop it and say, whatever, I just want to change the. But this one I had it very clear, you know, like it has to have like this kind of V shape, you know, coming out from the bottom with a lot of empty space on the sides. And yeah, I really like it. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really strong one, and like all the little pockets of negative space really make everything pop off.
Yeah. And also, sorry, you already. No, I was going to tell you that, for example, all the birds in the background, you know, they are not so detailed, and it's nice to play with that, you know, with something very dark that it helps. It kind of creates like a background, but at the same time, it's an element, you know. So
yeah, it's all about the shape. Yeah.
Yeah, shapes, exactly, shapes. That's the word. Yeah. Oh yeah, the ladies. Yeah. Yeah, I sent you this picture of this that thistle that you have in the middle. So just to show you how sometimes I get inspiration from things, you know. I saw that, I think it's a plate actually. I don't know, 19th century Victorian plate, whatever. And I saw that shape with those three flowers there.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's really beautiful, you know. And I was looking for some element for Emma, and I was all the time thinking about resilience, you know. And very often, what I do, for whatever reason, Emma always brings ideas of resilience to me, you know, like find the beauty in the resilience, you know, like to have this strength, you know, to deal with your vulnerability and all this kind of stuff. So sometimes what I do is I just open Google and I type resilience, and I see what happens, you know. And then I type like resilience symbolism or whatever. And then I found the thistle because it seems like it's like Scottish national plant and it represents the strength, you know, the resilience, the whole thing. And I thought, yeah, that's actually very cool. I think it could fit her very, very well. And sometimes inspiration can come just from something like that, you know. And I saw this small ceramic piece, and I thought, yeah, Yeah, I really like the composition and the whole thing. You know, I want to draw it like that. So that's how I made this Emma poster. Yeah, I think it fits her pretty well. It's like very
Yeah,
feminine and soft, but it's very spiky, and it has like this black widows around. You know, so it's also a bit dangerous. Yeah,
I totally agree.
that's a cool one. Yeah, yeah. And the Chelsea poster, this was very, very nice for me to finally make because I really wanted to make a Chelsea poster forever. When I was starting to make posters, maybe 2015, 2016, she came to also to play. And I remember that concert because she was amazing, you know, like, I don't know, she has this darkness and also she's kind of shy but very powerful in the stage and so. And after the show, I went to the merch table and they had a poster, a screen printed poster. I think it was Russian Circles and Chelsea Wolfe. And yeah, it's a guy from Barcelona who made the poster, Xavi. And I thought, fuck, so it's possible to make posters for these people, you know? It's possible to make posters for bands that I really like. And I always had in the back of my mind, I have to make a poster for Chelsea Wolfe. I have to make a poster for Chelsea Wolfe. But I never knew how to approach her. Yeah, I was not sure. Then she was not touring for a long time. Then the pandemic and the whole thing, you know. So finally, when she came, it was 2024 already, like almost 10 years after that, you know. She came to play in Berlin, and I managed to get the contact. So I wrote an email. When there is a band that I really love and I really want to work with, I just write an email, you know, like, hey, I really want to make a poster for you. Let me do something. And the only thing she said was, you can do whatever you want, but it has to be an egg in the poster.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, so let's make an egg. So yeah, that poster for Chelsea, I don't know if I will do the same, maybe I will do something different now, but for me it's important just because, yeah, it kind of closed this circle, you know, like this, it feels nice when finally you reach one of these
Right.
goals, you know, like to work with a band that you admire or something. Yeah.
Absolutely. And sorry, what year roughly was that one done?
The first poster I saw of her,
This poster here.
this one is 2024. This is from last year, I think.
Oh, okay.
Summer. It's 1 year old poster, something like that. Yeah.
That's cool that it all came full circle and worked
Yeah.
out, you know.
I also know that she was coming from, because she was not touring for quite a long time. She changed management and it was like an impasse time. And I was wondering, like, I don't know what's happening. Let's see if she comes back again. And then she released a new record and she came back on tour, you know. So she was like, oh, have an egg. And I thought, yeah, the egg is fantastic. It represents a little bit like being reborn again, you know, like you see the egg is cracking and there is, here in the picture, maybe it's not so visible, but it's like golden rays coming out of the egg, you know, like some kind of new life is coming from inside, and the moths are reaching because, of course, moths are always attracted to shiny things and to light, you know. So I thought it was a good idea for someone who was not touring for almost 4 years, I think, to make something, yeah, related to being back again, to be reborn. So yeah, this was for me like something to check out of my list. Really, really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think there's about like 4 or 5 more.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Yeah, this was the last poster before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think this poster is super cool. I really like it as well. I wish I could do it again. It's just 2 colors, you know, and it's super simple.
Yeah.
It's a two color poster. It's nothing. Yeah, it works. It really works. It's not very often that I make how do you call it, landscape
yeah.
format. It's not very often. I always tend to go to the vertical format. Yeah, yeah. This was fun. I think it fits them. This kind of alligator coming out from the swamp.
Oh, totally.
Destroying everything around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're from Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, so it fits
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, they are from the area of New Orleans or something like that. Yeah. 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 This is a compilation. Yeah. I mean, as you see, the elements are always more or less the same. Like I usually have some kind of animal form, like the one with the birds here to the right. And usually, when someone is soft, like a bird, I like to include something that is a bit like harsh or like knives. How do you call this? Arrows or spears. Spears. How do you say that? Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit like the game I'm always trying to play. It's basically botanical stuff, animals, bones, and weapons. That's more or less my my
That's a
whole
lot of
repertoire.
combinations, though.
Yeah,
That
a lot of
opens up.
combinations. Yeah, it opens up actually. Yes, this is actually the one for Havoc. They are a Mexican band. They are playing
Yeah.
Crust, which I fucking love. Because it felt like Crust had disappeared. We used to use to listen to Crust music all the time. Emo Crust, all this kind of stuff. And suddenly, nobody was playing Crust anymore. Everyone was playing black metal or something like that.
Hmm.
And yeah, they are playing Crust and they are doing it very very well. Um, and once I was walking in the forest and I found this bone, this jaw, and I thought, oh, this bone, this is probably from what kind of animal? And I asked, and it turns out it was a dog. Um, and I have like a small bone collection. I really like to find stuff like that in the forest and so. And it was around the time they asked me to make the design, so I thought, yeah, that's gonna go into your poster. It's easy peasy, easy peasy. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta listen to more Havoc. I listened. They released something this year, and I listened to a little bit. And I thought it was really really good. I just need to
Yeah,
come back
yeah,
to it.
yeah. They are good. I forgot the name of the record, but yes, they are good. They have this power, and if you see videos of the concerts, it feels very familiar. It feels
Yeah.
like this mosh of people just yeah, pushing each other around. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Mm,
Huge
yeah,
band.
yeah. I think it's the biggest one I made a poster for. I always find it more difficult to work with big bands than to work with small bands because you cannot reach a big band. You cannot talk to them.
Right.
You always have to talk to someone else, whoever that person is. And suddenly you get emails like, Billy says that I don't know, the woman should be bigger. Billy, maybe Billy. I don't know if Billy ever saw this poster. Like this feeling that you have all these people in between. Maybe he does. I have no idea. I have no idea. I would like to think that yes, he does. But
Right.
yeah, the thing that they told me is that since the concert was in Berlin and he seems to be a big fan of the Weimar era, which is this time before the Nazis, the 20s, the early 30s, when all the casinos and all the cabaret and all the stuff was going on in Berlin. He wanted something related to that. So I found that poster there on the right, which is from that era, and it's for a art exhibition that they were doing in that time. It's very Art Nouveau kind of style, and I thought this fits the Smashing Pumpkins very good. I'm gonna just send this poster to them and tell them, "Hey, you want to make like a rendition of this poster? It's from this," and they say, "Yeah, sure, it works for us. It actually fits what we are looking for." So yeah, that was the whole thing. Because I saw the poster and I thought this really looks like Smashing Pumpkins kind of yeah,
Yeah, I could
aesthetics.
totally
Like,
see it.
yeah, I can totally see it. So yeah, that was the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I really like this one and cool use of like inspiration and like putting your own twist on it.
yeah. Put a little bit twist on it. It's always I know with nudity and stuff, it's always a bit complicated for me because I'm not a big fan of showing naked woman in poster because it has been used to ad nauseum. There are so many naked women in poster. Naked women holds a skull, naked women holds a gun, naked women holds. So yeah, I kind of try to avoid it somehow. But yeah, apart from that, it was not. It was just let's call it a homage, but it's mostly take that idea that you see in the right and make it
Right.
new for them. So yeah. But the thing, I was surprised when I got contacted to make a poster for them. But I wonder who I was. I wonder if they ever saw this poster. I would like to know, somehow, because one of the cool things about making artwork for bands is to have the feedback of the band.
Right.
And
Yeah, I think bands that are like of this size and there's like agents and stuff involved, sometimes there
yeah,
is a bit of a layer there that's hard to get through.
yeah. There is a full agency that is taking care of all the posters.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it had a very good response, Like a lot of people came to me, like, "Yeah, we saw the poster at the concert. It's very cool, very nice designs." And so yeah, the audience liked it. So yeah, that's good for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
All right, this is the last slide.
this is the last slide. This is the only poster I have made for Messa. They were also very easy. They asked me for what's the name of this bird? The one that are stealing shiny things. Magpie. They
Oh,
asked me
okay.
for a magpie with that specific jewelry piece. So yeah, that was easy for me. But I really like the band. I hope I can do something for them again because
Yeah, I think you guys are perfect aesthetic fit.
I think it's a good fit. And also, when I'm working with bands, I don't have to like their music necessarily. I don't have to love what you are doing, as long as you are a decent human being and you are. I don't know. I mean, if I really hate it, it's difficult for me. But if your music is okay and you are a good bunch of people and so on, so I'm happy to work with you. But in the case of
Mm-hmm.
Messa, I really, really like what they are doing. I really love their music, so that's of course always an extra. Yeah, it's an extra. So I would love to do something else for them. Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
Then you have the
Yeah.
tribulation one on the left here.
Yes. Actually, this poster happened just by chance. I don't know why I just wrote to them, but they were very happy with this poster. So it looks a little bit like Game of Thrones now that I look at it.
Yeah.
It has a little bit that vibe of Game of Thrones. With these kind of posters, like I told you, I'm not an illustrator per se. Like I am an illustrator, but I didn't go to art school. When it comes to anatomic positions, I always struggle a little bit. I never know how do I make a wolf around a sword. I have the idea in my head, like, yes, that sounds fantastic, and then when I have to draw it, I don't know how is this leg gonna look. I always have these kind of problems. I'm not very good with anatomy. So actually, what I do, I just search thousands of references online.
Yeah.
Wolf jumping, wolf sleeping, wolf eating, whatever. So I really always need to understand why this leg can be like this, or it has to be like this, or it has to make sense in my head. So I know this look is not anatomically perfect. It's probably too long. There are no such a long wolves in nature, but at the end it kind of works. But yeah, that's one of my struggles. Also, I think that's one of the reasons why I never draw so many human figures. Because anatomy is really a weak spot for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, references always help. Just look for
Absolutely.
as many references as you can, just to understand how a body is supposed to move. What is the I don't know. If you look at the Messa poster, for example, that bird doesn't really make sense. Like the legs are too much to the left, I think. But still, in general, it works. But it's nice to have a reference, like to say, okay, can I put this like this in this post? Yeah, it works. Okay, let's go. Doesn't have to be naturalistic. I'm not trying to make a naturalistic illustration, but yeah, to play with the position of the body parts is always interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, and it comes back to that point of keeping things interesting and adding your own artistic voice in terms of like what you can also draw from with nature and reality too, how you can twist it a bit. So
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, I just got one more question. But I wanted to thank you so much. This was like really cool learning about like the screen printing and illustration and like your background and kind of like starting out with being in squats and doing a DIY thing and then like upping the professionalism over time. It's really cool hearing about your journey. So I appreciate that.
Hey, thank you so much.
So what would be one piece of advice, and you've given a lot as we go here, that you would give to other artists, and it could be at any skill level, but what's something you might want to leave people with?
I think for me, something that I have realized over time is that you have to be very stubborn. Just keep doing it. If you want to illustrate, illustrate. That's exactly what you have to do. There is no shortcut. You might have very good skills from the beginning, or you might be a total nothing with a pen. But it doesn't matter. Just do it.
Yeah,
I can see my own failures with that. Like I should really take more pen, pencil, paper, because I always tend to go to the digital illustrator thingy. But yeah, if you want to be good at something, you have to practice it. No matter what it is, just practice it and be stubborn. And yeah, of course, I also can see I was kind of lucky, the way I was living. We were squatting. We maybe didn't need so much money, and I didn't have to have a job. I could put all my energy into this. I was surrounded by musicians and people organizing concerts. So I had my luck in the equation, but you really just have to. If you want to illustrate, you have to illustrate. There's no other way around.
yeah, got to put it in the work and the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, for everybody watching, please give Lara a follow on Instagram. She has a web store linked in there too, where she can sell like prints and other things that she's produced. But yeah, definitely give her support. And then any prints that she creates, and you're at a show and the band's selling them, support the band, support the artist. Um, New episodes every other week, and once again, just thank everybody. Just stay on for a second, and I'll see you guys in probably 2 weeks. Cheers.